Animal welfare organization Four Paws has been running a hashtag Break the Vicious Cycle campaign. This is about banning the commercial trade of big cats in South Africa. The organization says the animals are being traded both legally and illegally, fueling the global market for traditional Asian medicine products and so-called luxury items. It says this is leading to a global biodiversity crisis. Let's talk now to Sarah Locke, Head of Campaigns at Four Paws. She's joining us from London. Sarah, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. When did you start this latest hashtag Break the Vicious Cycle campaign, and how is it going so far?
Thank you very much for having me. So we started the campaign back in 2021, so coming up to 2 years now. And the campaign is going well, thank you. I think I should probably start by saying, maybe explaining what the campaign actually means. So break the vicious cycle. So what is the vicious cycle? And really we're referring here to the exploitation of big cats in South Africa and the commercial trade, as you said. So that vicious cycle really starts when the animals are cubs. And they're taken from their mothers and they're used in cub petting, things like photo opportunities, walk with experiences. They're kept in captivity in very, very unnatural conditions. And then when they grow a bit larger, that's when they start to become a bit more dangerous for people to be handling them. So that's when they may well just be kept in captivity for tourists and things like that to come and view them, but that may go on to something a little bit more sinister. Which includes the trophy hunting industry. So they might be trophy hunted for the use of their heads, for example, up on walls, or their skins. And then really the question is then what happens with the bones? And what happens here is we are beginning to see that these are being traded to, as you say, the Asian market, often to be used as luxury goods items or as traditional medicine. And in South Africa, the industry's really grown significantly large. And relatively unregulated, and that's where we're starting to see this illegal activity that you refer to. But actually it's becoming so big now that we're also seeing other species are being targeted. So really what our campaign is focusing on is looking at an inclusive protection of all big cat species. So tigers are now being commercially bred and traded from South Africa, and that's a real issue. Obviously they're non-native species, so that's often quite a shock for people. And they're non-native species, and they're also endangered, more so actually than lions, but they're being used for the same purposes as the lion bones, basically. So it's kind of like a really inclusive industry.
So you are advocating for a complete ban of commercial trade of big cats in South Africa?
Yes, exactly. So that commercial trade, it's really quite all encompassing. Okay, so as I say, it's that cub petting, it's trophy hunting. It might even refer to the private keeping of big cats. So in people's back gardens, things like that. We had the recent incident of Sheba the tiger that had escaped from a backyard in Johannesburg. And that's, people don't really realize that actually that's part of a much wider problem here. It's not just the private keeping of big cats. The fact that these big cats, non-native species, as I said, non-native and endangered to South Africa, are so easily accessible across the country is a direct link to this commercial industry that has been allowed to kind of proliferate across the country. That's really the significance here. And I think that's something that often people miss. When we have these escapes of big cats from back gardens in South Africa, or there was that recent incident, I think last year, possibly even the year before now, of the tiger that was found being kept on very close quarters to a school nursery. And people get really interested and really quite irate about these issues, but they don't realise that actually it's really part of this wider commercial industry across South Africa.
Yeah, the issue of trading in big cats, I mean, as you said, it's widespread and it's very big here in the country. I mean, you've mentioned Sheba, the tiger that was recently euthanized after escaping from the plot where she was at in south of Johannesburg and ending up attacking a local man there at the time. But the issue then of the campaign, I just want to go back to your campaign, Sarah, the current one, hashtag Break the Vicious Cycle. How can people take part, and are you getting a lot of traction since 2021?
Yeah, we definitely are. I would say, obviously, please do head to our website, which is 4-paws.org. And yeah, please do head to our website, sign the petition. I think basically one of the most important things would be to keep yourself informed. As I say, people don't often quite understand the links perhaps to the keeping of big cats, but also that includes going to facilities that might call themselves sanctuaries. So we've got a lot of information on how to tell the difference, for example, between something that's a true sanctuary, so that's non-exploitative to big cats, and one that may well be. We have indeed gained a lot of traction. So we're at about 162,000 signatures now, which is fantastic. And you're quite right. We're urging the Department for Environment, Forestry, Fisheries and Environment to end the commercial trade of all big cat species. And actually, you know, it's a topic that's really, I suppose it's quite controversial in South Africa because we've got really divisive opinions on the topic. It's something that really gets people riled because it's talking about the wildlife, you know, that they've grown up with. And also it's now starting to gain more international interest, considering we're going into, you know, a really significant patch of biodiversity loss. And actually, it's now as I said, it's now starting to really have an impact on species that aren't native to South Africa, which therefore, you know, is going to gather interest from other countries, for example. So it's something that's really starting to gain traction, we're finding, and people are starting to become much more alarmed and aware of this. You know, we're constantly getting asked by people how, you know, could you tell me if this sanctuary is a real sanctuary or if it's going to be exploited? People are starting to become so much more aware.
Yeah, I mean, just as we conclude, Sarah, what would be the key benefits for us to protecting our big cats?
Look, I mean, as I said, we're coming into another mass extinction of biodiversity. I think, you know, the way that Four Paws sees it is that if we continue to keep animals in this manner, or big cats in this manner, one day we may only, you know, we'll cease to have them existing beyond those cages that they are in, because by allowing this industry to develop and to this demand for big cats to continue, and South Africa contributing to that demand by allowing this commercial trade, it actually exploits the big cats that are in captivity, and it really threatens and risks those wild populations by putting a price on their head too. So I would say, you know, we really need to take a look at this from all angles of that vicious cycle and include all big cat species within any protective legislation that South Africa deems. For lions, that should be the same for all big cat species found in South Africa, whether they're non-native or not. Sorry.